Hey everybody, how's it going? We are here recording a Seller Roundtable extra session, and I'm here with my friend Don Debelak. He is an incredible guy with a lot of experience. He is an Entrepreneur Magazine columnist. He's written a bunch of books on marketing and business, and he is also an inventor and a patent agent. So he has a lot to teach us today. He came and spoke at my Alamo Inventors group. And so I followed up with him. He's also helped a lot of people in our mastermind group with their patents. They are loving him, everything that he helps them with. So I asked Don to come back and talk to us a little bit more about how to really get our products out there, how to market them. Don mostly works with inventors and other entrepreneurs as well. So we are going to take the angle of private label today, talking to you guys about how to get your products out there besides on Amazon. On Amazon, you know how to run PPC, you know how to do all that. But Don is going to teach us a little bit today about how to market on a wider level, on a broader level. So welcome, Don. It's so good to have you.
Thank you very much.
Well, do you want to tell everyone a little bit about, did I cover everything about your background, or maybe you want to just take a
I
few
think so,
minutes?
but here I put a little bit of a slide up here. So I've written for Entrepreneur Magazine, and really that's in a way the start of the talk today, because in Entrepreneur Magazine, there's a lot of people with a lot of products, and a lot of them have been very successful. Entrepreneur Magazine wouldn't let me write about anybody unless they had over $1 million in sales. And the people I talked to who were inventors, so I had an inventor column, but the thing that's amazing, when I look at those inventions, and there was 109 of them that I wrote about, basically their ideas are no better for the most part than the ideas I see every day from other inventors. So it kind of led me to think, well, what is it that these people did different? Is their products aren't that much better, but yes, their success ratio is way higher. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. What is it that these people who have succeeded selling their products into stores, into distributors, and very wide ranging success in the market, what have they done that you can learn about and do too? So I've also written 4 invention marketing books, but I've also written many marketing books. I think I've written 15 books in all. Right now I'm running the website One Stop Invention Shop. I've helped introduce over 20 new products. And my last job that I had before I semi-retired was I ran a $5 million company based on a Danish inventor's product. And I just tell you a little story before I went. So I've been involved in the invention business for about 40 years. And the very first job I had was with an inventor who invented the first reclining dental chair. And basically he was a salesman for these, what they called straddle loungers back in those days. And one of the dentists came up and said, oh, if you could just make a dental chair to do this, this would be the greatest product in the market. Well, what happened was he went out and he invented that product. It took him about 3 years to perfect it. And he started to sell it at, little dental shows, and he didn't go anywhere. Well, he did have some business, but some guy walked up to him and told him, you need the best salesman in the market, to be your partner and get this product out. So what he did is he asked around, and he found out who was the best salesman in the market, and he gave that guy 25% ownership of the company. That salesman came in, and within about 3 years, he was selling over $30 million of products. And he wouldn't have sold any without this help. And that's basically what I'm trying to communicate to you today, is how to really get connected into the broader market, the market where you really can rack up big sales, and then and I'm going to be teaching you later on how to make these connections, how to find these people, and then what kind of deals to offer them so that you can really have a lot of success. You're in a better position than most to do this because you already have ongoing sales. So what we're talking about is, okay, here's a market over here. I don't have any sales in this market. What can I do? Well, what you can do is hook up with someone who actually knows how to deal with that market, and they can take your product out and you can really jumpstart your sales to a high level. Plus, you're in total control of your sales. And I know a lot of you maybe are on Amazon, and I've tried to sell products on Amazon. I've had varying success, but basically, some categories, there's like hundreds and thousands of products out there that people can choose from, and it's really hard to come to the top. Well, when you start working with these people in the markets who are actually in the industry, you'll find out that they'll put you to the top really without a lot of effort on your part.
Ooh, I like it. I'm ready to learn, Don.
Okay, so as I mentioned, I've written columns on over 130 inventors. All of them have over $1 million in sales, all types of products, all types of investments. Some of these people didn't even have $5, and they were able to get out on the market. And all types of distribution. Now, I'm not saying you can have a bad product and be successful, but you don't have to have a product that's runaway better than everybody else's. You just have to have a reasonable product. And if you can hook up with the right people, you'll be able to be successful. So the first thing I find out with inventors and new product people trying to broach the market is they don't know the retailer requirements. They don't know the industry discounts and pricing. They don't know how to package their product. They don't know what kind of certifications they need to sell the product. And generally, they don't even know how to get a barcode that the retailers require. They don't really know any of the key contacts in the market, and they don't know the best distribution methods, and they don't know the important trade shows. Now, this, if you're marketing a product, and I've marketed many, if you don't know these things, you're never going to succeed in this new market. You've got to learn these products requirements, and the easiest way to learn them is actually from having an industry contact, but you really should be learning these things as you go, just so that it doesn't sound like you're a total rookie and that you actually know something about the business. So we're going to talk about how to learn all these things, and it's really not hard to learn. You can do it very easily with just a little bit of time, and this will expand your opportunity for success greatly. So what are inventors or your three goals? One is you want to create strong sales. You want to have a strong market presence, and you want to keep your marketing expenses low.
And I think that's really, you know, as we mentioned, like some of us are inventors and some of us are bringing in a new private label product, but private label by definition is unique. It isn't a product that is a commodity copy of another product, because that would be a white label product. So those of you private label sellers, when you have something that is differentiated, no matter what your product is, these are really great goals to have.
Right. And I'm sure you've all learned online sellings that keeping marketing expenses low is a tough job. I mean, it's really easy to advertise on any of these sites, Google or Facebook and spend way more money than you ever recoup. And so part of the goal of here is, how do you learn how to go into these other markets, which can be way bigger and way more profitable, and still keep your expenses low. And so the way you can achieve these goals is you must rely on mentors and experienced helpers from your target market. It's just very difficult to go out there and really succeed in markets where there's so much you don't know. And what I'm going to be teaching you today is, it sounds like, oh, I know what you're thinking. How am I going to get this mentor? Experienced helpers, were you kidding? I'll never be able to find them. Well, I'm going to show you how it's very easy to find them and how you can work it. And as long as you're willing to share some of your rewards with these people, you'll find that they're anxious to jump on your ship. So when you want to have generate strong sales, these are what the mentors can really do for you. They have contacts to make quick sales. You know, they know the retailers who the product fits into. You know, I get so many times people will say, oh, Home Depot, boy, that's going to be a great outfit. But you know, those can be hard to get into, but there's other retailers throughout the country like Ace Hardware, who's quite easily to get into. And these people in the industry know that, and they know how to get in it. They also know the distributors and other reps and they almost always know how to structure a big deal. And this would be if you wanted to have a large exclusive sales arrangement, or in the inventor's case, sometimes they like to sell their product out for a big profit. So all of these things, these mentors or people experienced in the reps, they have all this to offer you. Now, as far as creating a strong market presence, they also know how to do that. They know the key magazines. They usually, people don't realize this, but at trade magazines, those people who write in the magazines, feature new products, talk about what's going on in the industry, they're very accessible. They're happy to talk to you on the phone. They're willing to work with you. And most of these mentors will actually have a relationship and be able to get a lot of stuff in print for you. The other thing is industry trade shows. Now, people don't know this generally, inventors or new people in the market, but these industry trade shows, everybody kind of knows everybody once they've been around for a while. And so at an industry trade show, it usually goes from, let's say, 10 in the morning to 6 at night, but all the action is really from 12 to 3. And everybody walks around those other hours and talks to everybody, and they learn how to meet people and really learn how to make a lot of contacts. Also, these trade shows are famous for their after show parties. So usually they'll have a little, little food, a few drinks and stuff right at the show. But then everyone goes to the major trade or the hotels where the trade show is stationed, and they go and have a lot of drinks. This is how they meet a lot of people. And so when you're talking about people in the market, they actually know everybody else. You're going in there and don't know anybody. So you don't want to do that. You want to go in, you want to make some contacts so you know it. It's always very amazing to me that like if I'm introducing a new product, and before I even start, I go to the trade shows. I can meet a lot of people. They're very easy to meet at trade shows. And I learn a lot about the industry just by attending a trade show once as a guest. And the trade shows will always let you in if you tell them that you're going to be introducing a new product and you want to see what the show is like. And so here it is, a treasure trove of information people can access easily, but they don't do it. And I think the main reason they don't do it is they don't realize how to do it. The other thing the mentors can do for you is, and this is what the sales manager did for John Naughton at the dental chair I told you about earlier. He created a nationwide sales force in like a week. He knows the people, he can recruit the people, and he really got a very strong sales force to go out and sell the product. Now, the other thing these mentors can help you with tremendously is keeping your marketing expenses low. Trade shows are pretty expensive. You might have a $2,000 or $3,000 booth, and the show itself might cost you $4,000 or $5,000 if you're exhibiting. Although you still get a lot of benefit just by attending, but usually your mentor can help you join with other companies for trade shows so that you cut your expenses. They'll also know what programs don't work. I mean, a lot of new product people, they run out and spend a lot of money on product brochures, a lot of money on advertising, and a lot of times those programs don't work. Most businesses, when you get outside of the selling online, are really done person to person. It's a personal business, and it's knowing how to do that, especially when you're starting out small and you're not able to go after like Walmart or Target, but you need to build up your sales. And the other thing is, just by knowing what kind of packaging you need, how many samples you need, also things like that, the mentors know that and you don't, and usually a new person trying to introduce their product will really fall down on their initial offerings to companies.
And that's because they're mostly not ready, right? So it sounds like what you're encouraging us to do is first kind of figure out who those mentors are, which you're going to be showing us how to do, but then, really try and learn what kind of packaging is required, what kind of what the industry is doing, and where to kind of look for these things, and then ask those mentors to help you get set up with that sales force, with the marketing, things that you need to be able to present at a trade show and do well, or get those products into the store with the right packaging, the right outer outer presentation, right?
Right, you need that. I'm going to be going into I guess the first conversation, I'm just trying to convince you that a mentor is darn handy to have. I will be actually going into a little bit later on actually how to find these people and get them to sign up, to work with you, because it's a step-by-step plan. But right, you just can't go out ignorant into a market. I mean, I see people go to a trade show. They never even went to the trade show before. They have no idea how the trade show works. They don't have any idea what the people are looking for. And of course, they fail, so getting your ducks in line is very important if you want to be successful. So when you're looking for your best helpers, the best helpers are first independent sales reps. And the reason that there can be very handy, they know what's going. Now, these people all work on commission. So if they don't make sales, they don't eat. So they have a lot of moxie to them, and they have a lot of experience, and they really have a lot of contacts with other reps. So they can be very handy. Another group is when you go to successful inventors in the same market. In your case, it's just successful people who introduce their own new product. These guys are extremely helpful. They're usually bend over backwards to help another new person come in. They'll tell you what mistakes they made. They'll often give you a lot of contacts who you can make early sales for. Now, all of these people only are going to sign up with you or work with you if they like your product. So, I'm not saying that the product's not important, but I'm saying that if you do have the product, the people who succeed are the people who get out there and make these connections. Retail store managers can be very helpful. I mean, I've known people who have worked with the store manager at a Walmart, and the Walmart store manager liked his product. He put up a display, they ran test programs. And when the product was successful, he helped that person, move out into other markets. So they can be good in marketing people at companies. They're also extremely good helpers. They also are a lot of experience in the industry, know a lot, and they can do a lot to help your product. So these are the kind of people we look for. People have two things in common. One is they know the market, and two is they're looking for an angle to really do well, to make a lot of money. So when you're talking to these people, they're not talking to you to be nice to you or to be friendly to you. They're looking at you as a way to make a lot of money. And if you present that opportunity to them, they're going to be very interested in talking to you. So what do? You're going to go out and start talking to people. So we haven't found our reps or our mentors yet, but we want to be prepared to go out. One is you really should have a non-disclosure agreement or a patent, a provisional patent. And in your case, where you may have e-products, what you want to do is have some type of an exclusive arrangement with the manufacturer or your manufacturing, so people just can't go right around you and approach who's ever supplying you and get the product without you. You need to have some kind of protection so that doesn't happen. You just need a sales flyer for your product. It's very helpful always to have the competition for your product. So in other words, you're going to sell your sales flyer, and then you're going to sell, here's the competitive product sales flyers, and you should be able to talk about why your product is better than those. You want to have a targeted sales product or a sales price. And if possible, you want to have a model or prototype. But in your case, if you're an e-sellers, you would have that product already available.
So just to break it down, we want to have an agreement a non-disclosure, especially if our product is not on the market yet. But also before we enter into any kind of deal with somebody, we want to make sure that we have that. And then we want to have a sales flyer. We want to, even a digital sales flyer is okay. You guys can use Canva to make that. There's lots of providers on Fiverr and stuff like that that are great to make flyers for your products. Digital flyers are great to send out. And then you said that we also want to know our competition, because we want to know, I'm sure whoever is going to be selling this product for us or buying this product from us wants to know why they should care, right? Just like we create product listings, they want to know why they should care. And then contracts with our suppliers. If you're getting your product from a trading company, and anyone could just search that trading company up on Alibaba and find your product and just buy it themselves, well, what's the incentive for them to get it from you? Did I sum that up okay, Don?
Yes, definitely.
Got it. Okay.
And I just, going on to the next, how do you find these key contacts? Well, the first thing you do is obtain industry trade magazines. Now you can just do a Google search for trade magazines and then list what your product is and they'll come up. Now a trade magazine is a magazine that goes out to manufacturers, retailers, marketers who are in that industry. Now in those industry trademark magazines, they have articles. They interview marketing people, they'll interview sales reps, they'll do all kinds of things that let you know who those people are. The trade magazines are also the ones who usually run the big trade shows, and they'll often have trade show directories, and those trade show directories will list the different types of products, and they'll list people you can contact to find out more information. All of these people are potential key contacts. If you can't find them on Google, you can also go on online to Gale's source of publication and broadcast media, and they will also list, they'll list the different kinds of trade magazines that you can look up. It used to be you almost always had to go to Gale's, but now a Google search will turn up most of them. Now, all magazines have new product sections. Now, this is the real golden area for you. You want to send away for all new products that are even remotely connected to your product. And when you get that, what's going to happen is they're going to respond. They're going to send you an email. They're going to give you a person's contact name. They're going to send you what their product is. And those people's names, though, are what you want, because those are the people you can call up and talk to about, tell them about your product, ask them what to do. And also, I'll go into this a little later, but tell them that you have attractive offers for industry people if they know people would be interested in helping taking on a new product. A lot of the literature you'll get will also have sales reps on your product literature. So not just coming from the company, but there'll be a local sales rep. These are the people you really want to connect with and go to lunch with. These are the people who are anxious to make a lot of money. They also have a lot of knowledge and they can provide a lot of help for you. So, if you get, let's say 10 pieces of literature, there's 10 sales reps on them, you should take every one of them out to lunch, not all together, but on different times, and talk to them and show them your product, see how they respond to your product. Going back to the competitive section that we talked about last time, one thing I found really helps with sales reps is to do a little focus group with your friends, family, or at church. Like I've done this sometimes. I give speeches to groups of like singles or whatever. And what I usually do is I bring like 7 or 8 different products or flyers, and I pass them out to the people. And then I divide people up into groups of like 4 or 5, and I ask them to rate every product for which ones they think they like best or most likely to buy, which ones, and then rank the products by the price range. So what happens, that's very helpful, because if they rank your product in between a product that sells for $12 and one that sells for $10, you can say that people think my product is worth $10 to $12. Because that's always one of the questions. You know, you tell them your price point, but they like to see some substantiation about, you know, why do you feel that price point is adequate? Uh, but this is stuff that you can go over with the sales reps. They'll be, the more you prepare, you know, the show you know what you're doing, the better response you'll get from the sales reps. Sometimes sometimes a lot of the product literature comes from inventors or from other new product people, and if they happen to be in your area, you should go meet with them too. So basically, this is one way to get contacts. And also you can use LinkedIn if you like it, but I found this is much better. LinkedIn often has, you know, people who are from too big a companies, and it's sometimes they're, you know, you're talking to them out of the blue, but when you talk to them because they're calling you up hoping to sell you a product, I found them to be a lot more receptive.
So, Don, do you have any advice for a lot of our listeners, as well as a lot of our community, is actually located overseas? They're located in other countries and they've built companies and they're selling products and private label brands in the United States. So, do you have any advice for those that might not be able to hang out in the US and go to these trade shows? And can they still make the connections?
Yes, they still can. In fact, there's no better era than now, because now people, well, it used to be when I was a lot more active, Skype was the prevailing, but now it's really, you know, Zoom, or there's really 4 or 5. And a lot of the people now use that. I think it's WhatsApp, so they can go on you don't have to use your computer, but you can use your phone. But then you have to really be ready. So you have to have a way to kind of show like, here's the product, here's how it's used, you know, here's the things about it. You just can't talk, right? You've got to have a little sales pitch with a little bit of visual aids all set, so when they're looking at you on your phone, and you have to have this kind of tight, you know, so what you have on all these calls, and I've done a lot of stuff with companies in China too, is you have like a minute to start, right, to get their attention, and you
Yeah.
really need a power packed visual that in a minute to convey that. Then if you get their interest, then you need like a 5 or 6 minutes to kind of where you can reveal more. But you just can't call them up on Skype and talk to them. You better be prepared with, you know, you have materials to show, talk about your product.
Yes, in our retail masterclass, you know, we talk about this. We talk about how to create what's called a brief. And before even the brief, you want to be able to get their attention with not something so salesy, because everybody gets all these messages, these spammy messages. But first, just connect, and then next, give them a little taste, something that's going to make them a little more curious and want to have more of a conversation. And then, you know, be able to wow them with, you know, different things like teaser decks, or just even a really cool short video of the product, something that they're able to see right there in their message, right there virtually. But, you know, you're kind of opening up the conversation, and that's what we really focus on, because so many people just send these massive, you know, kind of spammy emails out to everybody, instead of really, like you're recommending, Don, to focus in on a few key contacts and develop those relationships, and then show them what you have to offer in a really great way.
Yeah, I would like to, I don't know how many people here have ever watched you know, one of these videos from the investment community, where, you know, they go on and they're like an hour long before they ever tell you what you want. And those don't work at all when you're talking to these people. They want to see something in like a minute. And there's nothing better for that 1 minute, not only to show your product, to show the products that you compete with, and why you know, I developed my product because this product X and this product Y, they have these problems, they don't work, or they're too expensive, or they have some major flaws, which gave you some opportunities. And you know, it doesn't hurt to say, if you show them a really good selling product, they actually know what these good selling products are, right? You don't have to tell them and say, look, this product doesn't do this, this, and this, and mine does it. You know, so I find that showing competitive products to these people who are in the market is good. And plus, they'll respond to you if you say, well, this, and this product don't have this, and I have this. They're going to, you're going to, and this is the greatest thing that can happen to you, is they're going to give you feedback. And he says, yeah, but their product does that. Do you do that? And you'll get a dialogue going that really gives you a chance to explain your product better. And, they won't be really nice. If they think your product's got flaws, they'll tell you right off the bat. If they think your price too high, they'll tell you. So they're just looking to make money. That's what you have to read, is they're not trying to be nasty to you, but don't expect them to be, oh, it's not like showing this to your mom or something and they said, oh, what a nice idea you have. They don't do that. And I think that's better for you. It's getting that dialogue going. And again, that's why I'm so much in favor of sending off for product literature, because that person's calling you up and he's interested in talking to you because he's hoping to sell you something. And you really can do a dialogue. And I don't know what's best overseas, if Zoom really works or if Skype is better, but everybody out there who's overseas probably knows what's the best thing. And I think most American companies or people, they would have that. I think it's WhatsApp on their phone,
Yeah.
or Zoom, but a lot of them still might have Skype. But, because Skype isn't so bad for one-on-one, if you're just talking to one person.
Right. Yeah, we do a lot of messaging and back and forth. It's about and phone calls still work really, really well too. So it's like messaging first and then following up with a phone call, right, and being able to send that digital file. Luckily, at least in our retail masterclass, my co-host in that class is from Israel and he sells in the US. So to retailers in the US. So he's used to having to overcome those barriers. And that's why we kind of focus on that. So, use all of these tips that Don is giving you to find these key contacts, but then also make sure that you're ready to present your product in a way that isn't spammy and that, is helping you just kind of have a conversation. And like Don says, send away for it so that they're wanting to sell you something and then you're making the connection at the same time.
Right. And be sure your presentation works on the phone.
Yeah.
You don't always get a big computer screen. And there's nothing worse than having all of your words too small to read, so like it should work on the phone with just the normal, view screen. So what are we going to do when we have a new helper? So you've got a guy, you had some rapport, you've told them, he told you about your product and you say to him, well, listen, can I just tell you, I'm trying to introduce a product too and get some feedback from you on what you think about it. And they'll probably say yes. Most of the time they say yes and will listen to you a short time and then explain you have a new product you want to introduce in the market. And here you go. Now, if you're overseas, you can't really take them to lunch, but what you can do is set up a time, and don't go for an hour meeting, can I set up a 5-minute phone call for, or WhatsApp or Skype or whatever with you and set up a time. A lot of times they'll tell you you can do it right now, but I think it's courtesy to ask them if they'd prefer to set up a time. And you can't be saying too long, 5 or 10 minutes, because otherwise they're afraid of getting caught in a, droning on presentation that they're really not interested in. And you can ask the people for their feedback, if you're setting it up, and you could ask them even before you ask them if you can set up a meeting, what is your feedback? What do you think of this product? Are you familiar? I always like to say, are you familiar with the competitors? And I list them. So I say this product and this product. And sometimes if you've done your homework right, they'll know the competitors, but sometimes they'll say no, and they'll say, but I am familiar with these products. These are the 3 products I see that sell best in my market. And that gives you a chance to ask for feedback comparing your product to the competitor product. And you, what's going to happen most of the time, of course, no matter how brilliant your presentation is, they don't really understand your product and they don't know all the features about it. And the best way to tell them about those features is for them to ask you questions. You know, well, I let this competitor product really sells well because it does this or this, and they usually can tell you what, or they have an opinion of why the competitive products sell well. And you can then, you know, feedback, well, this is what my product does instead. This is why I feel this is better. And I mean, it starts a dialogue going back and forth that helps you communicate your product. I found, you know, when you're dealing with this, trying to get helpers, this is a person-to-person thing. And the more person-to-person type conversations you have, the much better off you are. I mean, if you just drone on for 5 minutes and don't get questions about feedback or what they think, you know, I find that it doesn't work so well. And the questions you can ask to get feedback are so simple, like, what do you feel are the top competitive products to mine? What products in this space, they all like the word space for some reason, do you feel, you know, are the top sellers, and why do you feel that way? Any questions like that, they'll usually respond. And you can also tie this right back into their product. You know, I see that your product is going into this market. To what competitors are really competing with you in there? What are their products like? Who's the best seller? You can get them talking and starting the conversation by asking them about their product too. Which, you know, you're just trying to establish some rapport and something to say that you're a pretty decent person, you'll be easy to work with. I think if you're an e-seller, and like in a lot of your people, if they're overseas, there's always going to be a reluctance on the American people that maybe this will be more difficult to do than I would like. And the best way to overcome that is in an ongoing conversation where you don't try to just keep talking about your product, but just to show that, you know, you're easy to get along with. Here again, I think it's wise. So we're not really talking patents or patent offers or no disclosure agreements, but it really helps if you can get an exclusive, like if you don't actually manufacture the product yourself, if you can get an exclusive with your manufacturer or some kind of an agreement that doesn't let people go right around you.
Yeah, and you know, when you go to sell your business, we had a session about selling your business with Yal Kabili and from Fortinet, and that was one of the main factors in how much you're in your business valuation when you go to sell it is actually having contracts with your suppliers, because again, if anybody can just source that and there's no kind of protection, it devalues your business a little bit. So make sure that you guys get an attorney wherever you're sourcing from. You know, so if you're sourcing from China, get an attorney in China. If you're sourcing from India, get an attorney in India. If you're sourcing in the US, get an attorney in the US and have them draw up contracts before you enter into agreements with your suppliers, so that you can ensure you're actually protecting your supply chain, because your supply chain is all you have, really. If someone else can find your supplier and you don't have any kind of protection agreement with that supplier, you are kind of at a loss, you know, and there's a lot of really savvy people that can do that if you don't have the proper contracts in place. So really good point, Don.
And you should also have your contract cover future products, you know, related to this product. So if they develop a new product, that you maybe have the right of first refusal. I mean, you can't just get everything for you. And if you do have an agreement, you'll probably have to commit to some type of sales levels too. I mean, companies will say, well, if you want an exclusive, you got to guarantee so much sales. And so there's a back and forth there. But yeah, I mean, and really in the old days, it was hard to find somebody in China. But today, you know, China has all these trade shows. They have trade fairs. You just go over to a kitchen trade fair over to China, and everybody's got all their products right out there. And it's not that hard for them to find your source.
Yeah, true.
It
And
was
import records are public, so they can actually just search your company name and find out who your suppliers are. So if you don't have contracts with those suppliers will actually bring your products to the trade show because
right,
they don't have a contract not to. Why not? They're showing off what they're making.
right. So that's another reason it's good to have that contract. And you know, I'm not in the past. I've been in markets where people have to pay tariffs even though it's a minor tariff to come into the country and documents. And those are public records. You can actually find the category your product is in and get all the tariff records, and you can see what people are bringing in
Yeah.
and the volumes they're bringing them in on. You can see what the other manufacturers are. I used to do that for a sneaky reason, is I wanted to know how strong the Chinese company was, you know, how big a market presence they had. And I could tell that. So if there was a product category and, you know, they have a number for it, you know, you just have to figure out what that number is. And then if the company you're dealing with doesn't sell hardly anything into America, well, that puts you in a much stronger position. But if they're a real big, you know, if they have a lot of people they're shipping to, well, then your position's a lot weaker. So I think those records are good. So when you're talking to someone, you know, I think you're perfectly free to pull out as much information as you can. You can ask them about the reaction to the product. What do they think? What do they think about competitors? And not only is this good information for you, it's a good way to develop a rapport with the person. What do they think is the best way to sell the product? You know, you can ask them key contacts in the market you should focus on. Now, not everyone's going to give you all this information, but I found, you know, usually they're more than willing to do that. Um, you know, explore their interest in helping you. See if they really are willing to help you. Maybe they'd be interested in striking a deal with you. And if not them, do they have suggestions of other people who might help them? Um, Now, one of the things, if you have overseas sellers, to kind of get over is American business people do not jump right into the topic usually. You know, they like to have a little chit chat before, and I found that, and they also are very informal. You know, I found that sometimes overseas sellers are very, they're not informal, they're very formal, they're very stiff. And it really works just like you're talking to a person you sat next to in college class. You know, you're just, hey, where are you from? What are you doing? And things like that. And so asking questions, well, hi, how long have you been with the company? Just a little rapport about, you know, what your background is. And, but learn to talk so you don't sound stiff, I guess is, um, and you can practice with each other on that. I'm sure you must talk to people, Amy, and try to help them if they're
Yes, well, we do this through our podcast all the time, and my Facebook groups definitely. So we're in our Facebook groups right now, talking and sharing, and yeah, the big thing is be be a good partner, right? Because there's a lot of people that will just reach out to you and kind of be takers, right? Instead of trying to, like you mentioned, Don, you said take the time to actually ask for their opinion, ask for their advice. Don't just throw your stuff in their face, right? Like, here, I have this product. Can you help me? You know, take the time to say, hey, I'm just trying to connect with others in my industry and talk and learn and contribute. And so I relationships are all about give and take, and not just one or the other. So I love to learn from others, and then also try and contribute wherever I can. And so that's my advice to any of you guys who find some of these key contacts. Take the time to actually just develop that relationship instead of just automatically asking them to basically help you, right? And you'd be surprised how far someone will go out of their way to help you if you do that.
Right. Basically, this is how, like at trade shows, and the way Amy and I are talking is exactly how we talk to any customer. You know, we wouldn't be having any different type of demeanor. But when you go to a trade show and they're at 10 in the morning, and they've got no one to talk to, you know, they're very happy to talk to you forever and explain all this, or they give you 5 or 10 minutes easily. And what you'll find when your people are calling you up, sometimes they don't have a lot of time and they might not be that helpful, but many times they can spend 5 or 10 minutes talking to you easily. And always after about 5 minutes, you should always ask them if you know, you could set up if they would like to set up another time where you could go into more details. Even though most of the time they'll say, no, let's just talk now. I think it's courteous and it's good to do that.
Yeah, and then you're also getting their information, right? Where you
Right,
can
you're getting their
follow up.
information, and they might often think of new things to tell you. That's another reason I like to wait. You know, you're talking to them right on the spot. People don't always think of everything, you know, right the first time around. But if, you know, you give them a day or two, they'll think about a lot of other things that they could maybe help you or work with you on.
Yeah, maybe offer to connect on LinkedIn, or I love to invite people to virtual tea because right now we're all kind of stuck. Virtual tea or virtual coffee, and be like, hey, do you want to have a coffee next week over Zoom or something? And just, you know, I can send you my calendar. You can pick a time that works for you, and we can just chat, and I can see how I can help you, and, you know, vice versa. And let's just network. And people love to network, and especially right now during COVID when we're all like stuck in the house, and you know, a nice little Zoom chat or a Skype chat, and just something real informal, and hey, let's both bring a cup of coffee and just connect.
Yeah, the other thing you have to offer people is you can ask them if they would like to know more about how to deal with a Chinese company. How do you find Chinese suppliers, or wherever you're from? You have knowledge that they might like to know too, and you should ask them, you know, what they might like to know from you. And many times they'll have questions about supplies, or, you know, not necessarily related to your product, but they have questions in their normal business dealings that you could maybe answer.
Yeah, like selling on Amazon,
Right.
selling in e-commerce, different things like that. Like you guys, yeah, don't forget you do have a skill set that they may gain something from. So that's really awesome.
Right. So you can share that. And also, like, I'm amazed, there are markets where Facebook groups are just fabulous, you know, like mothers of new babies, you know, and if you have products that can go and in this Facebook groups, you really can do well. So those are things too you might know that they don't know. Um, that could be of help to them. So once you get going, you've got someone who's kind of interested. Um, you can ask for a commitment. You don't have to have this big commitment, you know, to really do it, but you could explore. Now, the first one is really for someone who wants to license their product, and but you may be talking to people who could fit your product into theirs. So, for instance, if I have a product line of kitchen products and you have a product that's not in my line, you know, I might want to add it to my line. You know, and this is a different, it's a private label to that company. And that's one thing you could approach. Is there some way that your company, this might fit into your company's line where your company could benefit, we could both benefit if you sold the product, and usually they'll do that without payment. I always like to ask that first, because that is a really, when you're talking to this person, and they're going to take a product idea up to their management, they're in a no lose situation. So let's say they go up and take the product and the management says, oh, I don't think it'll fit in, it's not going to work out. That person still looks good. It's a go-getter trying to find good things for the company. And, the company likes to see that. And if it does go through, then he even does better. But there's no way he's losing. No, if he brings an idea to the company about taking your product and inserting it into their line, the company is never going to think poorly of him for doing that. It can only help him. Other things, like if it's an independent sales reps, and again, this is trying to license the product, you can offer 15 to 25% of royalties if they want to help license the idea. And this would be more of a sale of a product line if you wanted to sell it. But you could also offer people, oh, if you would come on, I would give you 10 to 15% of net sales. If they like your product, there's all kinds of commitments that they could make to you, that would really get them on board to help you. Oh, my wife just dropped something. I don't know if you could hear that, but there was a big bang there. So,
it's okay.
But you could ask them, you could really start this conversation, but listen, I know you're kind of interested in a product. Would you like to explore with me ways where maybe you could make money with my product and we could work together where we could both win? And if they're interested, and I found that at least half the time, if they've expressed interest in your product, well, they'll say something like, well, what are you thinking of? So you just are throwing out a comment that's very vague, and they'll come back, what are you thinking of? And when they say that, well, there's several ways to go. You could get a commission on our net sales. You could come on board and have a share of the company, or whatever, you're willing to do or explore. You could just come back with them and make that offer. But it's always best to say, it sounds like you're interested in a product. Would you just be interested in looking at some ways that maybe we could both win, and maybe you could make some money off of our product? And I found that a lot of times they'll say, they'll be interested. Not always, though. This is one reason I like independent sales reps, and sometimes retail store managers. They're looking to get ahead. And other people are more comfort oriented. They just want to stay in their job, and they're not really interested in trying something new. So, but unless you ask them, you'll never know where they stand.
Makes sense.
And also, you should always, after you kind of explore things, always ask them if you can send them an agreement so there's no confusion on your offer. This is it's always been odd to me, but you go and talk to someone and you list, I don't know what goes through their head. I think I'm crystal clear, but they have a totally different take on what our conversation was. And so,
and Don, how would you suggest getting the right wording for those agreements?
Well, I don't like them I like using a memorandum of understanding. So it's not a totally formal agreement. It's more just a listing of concepts of what you're trying to work towards an agreement. So you can look online, and they have a lot of memorandums of understanding agreements.
Yeah,
so
I just looked it up, the templates for it, and
yeah, there's lots of them, and it's really only good. Like about 2 or 3 pages. So it's not full of a lot of legalese stuff. And it's really saying we're going to be working towards an agreement with these kind of parameters is really what it's saying.
Got it.
So it's not full of legalese. It's more just a simple letter that, and then
like a gentleman's handshake.
Yes, that's what it is. And just so that, you know, they kind of have a good idea. So it's firm on what you're trying to offer. Otherwise, I don't know, without something written up to follow up, I find that people just come away with meetings with totally different, you know, perceptions of what was said. And
Got it.
but if you send an MOU, then they can respond, oh, I thought we said this. Oh, I thought you said this. And, you know, you can kind of work it out. But the MOUs, it's just a memorandum. It's not a firm commitment. It doesn't really mean anything, but it lays out the terms of what you're thinking of pursuing. So I usually don't even do them with a lawyer.
Makes sense.
And, you know, and I also like always to have a follow-up. I like to promise what I'm going to do, right? At first. And now you have to remember, this doesn't all happen on one meeting. This could be over 3 or 4 or 5 meetings. But once you kind of have a tentative agreement, you like to tell them first what you're going to do. And then you should set a schedule for what they're going to do. And then you should follow up to advise of the rep all the time, maybe once every 2 weeks or so, or whatever works into the schedule, about how you're meeting your goals. And then if you tell them how you're meeting your goals, you can ask how they're doing meeting yours. So don't just follow up, oh, the rep's supposed to do this, this, and this. What's he doing? Is he getting it all done? Blah, blah, blah. You have to put your own, action schedule on the line too. And you have to meet your schedule. I think it's very important to have both, because this is a partnership, It's not just, you're just going to do everything yourself.
Got it.
So to be follow-up, you shouldn't really have an action list that's more than 60 days, 30 days at best. And you can have new action lists, as you go on. But, excuse me. But 30 days is best. When it expires, keeps it going, have a new list. And of course, I don't like too long a list too, because so many things change. Your original action list might not be relevant as you go along. And really make sure you meet all the steps of your action list. And the other thing is, don't be bugging the person, calling every few days. If you have a 30 days action list, call after 30 days. Nobody likes you to be a pest.
Yeah.
And so basically the key is just to, just find the people. And I find the trade magazines setting off for literature, going, and if you can go to trade shows, that's a great way to meet reps too. Or people who are interested, just walking around booth to booth. I'm not sure if your people ever go to trade shows, but it's not necessary to go to have a booth. You can just be an attendee. And I think it pays to go so they can see what other products are out there. I know that a lot of foreign companies go there and they find ideas that they can modify or change or duplicate and make their own product.
Yeah, well, a lot of people go to Canton Fair in China for that. We have a China trip, and of course, right now with COVID, a lot of stuff is stopped with trade shows. But there's so many really great trade shows, not just in China, not just there's great trade shows in Europe. If you live in Europe, there's great trade shows in Australia, all around Canada, South America, trade shows everywhere. So definitely, even if you are overseas, you'd be surprised how many global companies are at trade shows in your area. So don't think that just because you're selling in the US market and you're an overseas company, that you can't go to your local trade shows in your area and still make excellent connections that can help you worldwide. It's an incredible opportunity. So make sure that you're doing that. Another hack that we use is you can also register for trade shows and as an attendee. And even if you don't go to the trade show, you often get the list of attendees and presenters. And that way you can at least go on the website, you can get key contacts, you can follow up that way, you can see what products they were, they had at the trade show. Most of that stuff has gone virtual now. So it's a really great thing to at least know what trade shows are relevant in your industry. As Dawn mentioned, know what industry magazines are relevant. I mean, Dawn, you gave us that hack at Alamo Inventors, and I followed up and I connected with all of the industry editors and editors-in-chief on LinkedIn, and I'm making those connections and just building out my list because, like you said, there's all these people that want better products, and Amazon has so many great products that aren't known anywhere outside of Amazon. Yet Amazon is like less than 5% of all of retail. I mean, it's grown recently to a bigger chunk of e-commerce, but e-commerce is only 10% of all of retail. So it's like, you guys, you're missing out. There's so much opportunity there. You are just barely scraping the surface on Amazon. If you have a product that has gotten, like Dawn mentioned, saturated on Amazon, you would be surprised how much opportunity there is beyond. So just there's so many great products I know of clients that I have that are saturated on Amazon now, but the local stores, you cannot find those kind of products, and they're great products. So just imagine if you make some of these key contacts and you get sales reps and you're able to let them kind of build a sales force for you and let them make some sales for you. Imagine what that could do for you as the manufacturer, really getting your products out there. I mean, that is a game changer. Think about it. Right now, you're only accessing a tiny corner of the market. So, use these tips that Dawn has given us, graced us with today, and really come up with a game plan of how you can make some more contacts and how you can get out there and find some helpers in the industry to make a difference for your business, because you can't do it alone, and there's people out there that are happy to help you. Am I right?
Right.
Good stuff.
I think so. And I should also mention that, being in the store gets you a lot more sales on Amazon too.
Yes, I recently signed my first wholesale vendor contract, and my sales at launch on Amazon tripled. I had my biggest sales day ever. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is powerful. So, it really is. It's so great to have that brand trust, it's in having the retail packaging and all of that. It just, customers see that and they're like, oh, have I seen that somewhere before? I think I can trust that brand. I'm going to buy that. They like that. So it's good stuff. All right, Dawn, do we have any more slides before we wrap it up?
No more slides.
Okay, well, I will hit the stop sharing button. And right before we go, I just want you to tell everyone how they can get in contact with you, how they can learn more. You're a patent agent as well. So if you guys need help patenting something, Dawn is amazing at that. So where can we find you, Dawn?
Well, you can find me most easily on onestopinventionshop.net.
Okay, onestopinventionshop.net. It's funny, Dawn, while you were talking, I was multitasking over here and I was searching for independent sales reps for pets, because you guys know I'm in pets. And the first article to come up on Google, organically, of course, was Don's article from One Stop Invention Shop. He actually has an article on there about sales reps for pet products, and he walks you through step by step. And he even has some stuff about PetSmart and Petco, which I've been trying to find information on. So thanks, Don.
You're welcome.
Well, it was great having you, Don. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I'm sure all of our Stellar Roundtable listeners are going to really appreciate this. And if you're listening right now on the podcast and you want to see Don's presentation, you can head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/seller roundtable, or you can view it on our website, sellerroundtable.com, and join us every Tuesday live on Zoom as we interview more amazing guests and learn more really cool things. And you can register free at sellerroundtable.com/live. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, Dawn, for your awesome presentation, helping us get our products out there in a broader market. And we will see you guys next time on the Seller Roundtable. Bye.
Bye-bye.